Boa tarde. I'm Liz, a shaper from the Miami Hub. I'm a communicator, a facilitator, and a social entrepreneur. I think you can gather from that picture that that is me. Can you tell the resemblance? That is the face that I would make at 4 years old when my parents would tell me that they did not know how to use a computer. My parents brought home our first desktop computer when I was 4 years old. It was that big, gray Macintosh computer. Do you all remember that one? It had that big box at the back and the end. Well, I learned how to use it instantly. And I was the one that taught my parents how to use a mouse. So I guess you could say that for the past 26 years, I have grown up using the internet and the technologies that we use every single day. In every sense of the word, I'm essentially a digital native. And that's what I'm coming to talk to you about today. How can we use the technologies and the devices that we are all accustomed to make sure that we are going together beyond the screen? I hope you all recognize yourselves in this picture. How often are we walking around, going like this, scrolling, using our phones in any moment that we can to fill the gaps of boredom or anything to pass the time to entertain ourselves on our devices? In the next 13 minutes that I have with you, I'm sure you will send a WhatsApp, check an email, or send a text to somebody that you know. And that's okay. That's natural. That is what we do now. In fact, the average adult in the US and Europe spends 3 to 5 hours on their smartphone. Now, you'll notice here I didn't tell you out of what time period. Raise your hand if you think it's out of the week, that we're spending 3 to 5 hours on our phones every week. Okay, no takers. How about a month? 3 to 5 hours on our phones a month, perhaps? I think you all get where I'm going with this. The average adult in the US and Europe is spending 3 to 5 hours a day on their smartphone. And yet, even though we are living in the most connected time in human history, even though we can talk to anybody we want and access information instantly, we are lonelier than ever. We feel isolated from those we love. We feel like we lack community. We feel like we are not engaging with those around us. Our phones have replaced that human touch. Loneliness is a new mass disease that is responsible for physical and mental suffering and the most frequent cause of death in the Western world. Let that sink in for a second. Loneliness is a new mass disease and the most frequent cause of death in the Western world. In large part, that is because of our smartphones. It is because we are not learning how to engage with each other like we once used to. But the solution is not to get rid of our phones. We know that those are not going away. And so how can we make sure that we are building community in the places where we're all spending most of our time? Here is my solution. I'm the founder and director of Pulso, a digital organizing platform that works to increase the political power of Latinos across the United States by building relationships online that will lead to action offline. We are creating a space for our subscribers to connect with us and each other in a deep way right on their phones, where they're spending most of their time. To date, Pulso is sending messages to 440,000 subscribers via their phone. And so instead of telling you more about how we do this, I'm going to invite you all to be interactive with me. So if you could, take out your smartphones. When you have your smartphones ready, raise them up so I know that we can get started. Wonderful. Now that you have your smartphones, I'm going to invite you to go to your Facebook Messenger app. Now, if you don't know what that is, you probably are sending direct messages to your friends and family via Facebook. You may already have this app on your phone, and if you do, you'll find it from this chatbot kind of icon, a blue emoji with a white lightning stripe through it. That is your Messenger app. Give me a thumbs up if you have that app and you're recognizing what I'm talking about. Wonderful. Okay, awesome. I'm seeing people in the middle having that app ready. Great. And so what's the next step? We are going to use it so that you can see the content that we're sending. When you open your Facebook Messenger app, you go to the top search bar and you type in project, and then you guessed it, pulso. Pulso means pulse in Spanish because pulso is keeping the pulse on nuestra gente, which is our people. So there's a little bit of history on our name, but now back to the exercise. Once you type Project Pulso at the top of the search bar, you should see a screen just like this one that says Get Started. Now, if you're up for it, I invite you to click Get Started, and you will see firsthand the content that we're sending. Now, I promise you that this is not a ploy to get you to subscribe to my startup, and I won't be offended if you unsubscribe right when I get off of the stage. But I think it's important for you to see the type of content that we're sending and why and how we do it. And so if you clicked Get Started, you may see my face, but more importantly than my face, what I want you all to see is that you are being greeted by your first name and by me. You're being greeted in real time. You might see little dots that are actually showing that we're typing, like if a real human was sending you the message. And that is the core of how we are engaging with our audience. But it's not just that we are using chatbots for good. It's that through Pulso, we are sending culturally resonant content to Latinos across the US. What do I mean by culturally resonant? Well, our team is sending content by Latinos for Latinos, making sure that we are centering our folks in the stories and the narratives that we're sending. And so take, for example, this story that I have up here. It's asking our subscribers to tell us how they identify. In the United States, there are many terms that are used to identify people with Latin American heritage. I, for one, describe myself in 4 ways. I'm Venezuelan American, I'm Hispanic, I'm Latina, and I'm Latinx. Just like me, many people in our community are also using a whole host of different ways to identify themselves. And at Pulso, we want to know that and speak to people how they're speaking about themselves. And so in this quiz, we ask folks if they think that they most identify with Hispanic, which is a term that is used to denote heritage from Spain. Or Latina or Latino, which is a term that was invented by the census in the 1950s to be able to count folks in the United States of Latin American heritage. And so this is the type of content that we're sending through the app every day for our folks to engage with and resonate with. And after our staff comes together, and after we pick this culturally resonant content, Pulso sends stories based on these 3 pillars. The first is content based on user input. Now, you saw that through the quiz. That's a very easy way to see how folks are identifying. But we also look at click rates and share rates, and we look at what folks are engaging with and what they're responding to. And the content that they're doing that more with is the content that we are going to send. The next pillar is micro-stories equal universality. That may seem counterproductive, but think about your own life. The last time your friend or family member told you a story with riveting details, with every little piece of emotion, you probably connected with that story much more than you did with a generalization. It's because emotions and stories bring empathy and connection. And so in Pulso, we are highlighting stories of everyday Latinos across the US and their lived experiences. The third pillar for us is conversational language. If you browsed through the messages that you just got for those that subscribed to Pulso, you'll see that I'm not writing to you in 5-paragraph essays or with formal punctuation. I'm not writing to you with a distancing protocol. I'm talking to you like if you were my friend. And the goal for Pulso is for each one of the 440,000 subscribers and growing feel like it's me and Juan at the bar, or me and Juanita at the coffee shop, or me and Miguel at the restaurant after work. That is how we're building a close-knit relationship with our subscribers. And so if I could connect the last 2 slides in one formula for you to take away back to your organizations and your networks, back to your jobs and your places of where you feel most purposeful so that you can also send content that connects, it would be these 3. The first is listen. So aside from looking at the clicks and the shares, Pulso is constantly doing customer discovery to make sure that we are asking our subscribers what their pain points are, what are their aspirations, what do they hope for. Then we give. After we listen and we understand our users, we give them content that will inspire and will motivate, that will educate them and entertain them. We give them what they want to consume to make their life better. Then, and only then, after we've done those two things, do we ask. And so you might be asking yourself now, what is Pulso's ask for our subscribers? You'll remember this slide from a little bit earlier. Sending culturally resonant content is our what, but our why is to increase the political power of Latinos across the United States. It's no secret that the United States is living a tense political moment right now. You all see the headlines coming out of my country. And my community is under attack. On August 3rd, more than 15 Latinos were murdered by a white supremacist who wrote a manifesto saying that Texas was experiencing a Hispanic invasion. Every day, hate crimes increase in the United States against people who look like me. My community has to come together. We need to organize, and we need to make sure that we are standing up for our rights and our values now more than ever. This is one of the ways that Pulso is helping to make that happen. Around the midterm elections in 2018, Pulso sent around 2 weeks of content via Facebook Messenger to our subscribers, asking them if they knew how to vote, if they were prepared to vote, if they had a plan, or if they needed help getting to the polls. And now there's an overwhelming body of research that shows that to get anybody to do anything, whether it's participate in a political campaign, vote, or donate to a cause they care about, the easiest way to do that in the most effective way is if their friends and family tell them to participate. And that is exactly what Pulso did with our content. We asked our subscribers not only to answer the host of questions that we had around the elections so that we could help them get to the polls, but we asked them to share the content and resources that we were sending with their friends and family to scale our impact and our civic engagement in the 2018 elections. Here were the results. 24% of Pulso subscribers shared our Get Out the Vote content. This resulted in 300,000 shares overall. We got 58,000 commitments to vote from folks who got our messaging. And each one of these messages reached around 34 of our friends. Now, sending messages through Messenger is not the only way to get people involved, but it is a large step forward to make sure that our community has a champion, has a voice, and has a platform where they can know what they need, get the resources they need to get there, and tell their friends and family how to be more civically engaged. Pulso's best practices are, I hope, here to serve you so that you can speak to your audiences in a way that is culturally resonant, so that you can communicate with your clients or your networks in a way where it feels like a conversation, so you can build deep relationships where people are spending their time by listening to what folks want to consume, by giving them the content that they want to read, and by centering their stories in everything that you do. It is only by doing this and using our phones to do good that we will be able to go together beyond the screen. Obrigada.